Okay, so setting up your textures for getting over to Unity. Alright, so right here I just have a master PSD file that I made in Maya. I've laid out the UVs for my tavern sign in Maya. I'll just do a little organization here, and I'm just going to, as you see, I have the color and spec color here, keeping this really fairly basic. And so this is going to be paint. So, and I'm just going to quickly figure out, what I'm going to paint various things. And, so it's really just, part of it's knowing what to do with the files, where to put things, and what your goals are. And part of it's setting up the tools so that you can do that. So 2 tasks to deal with. So, alright, so I got some green paint there. Maybe I want it a little bit darker. And, okay, so the sign front here I'll just put as a more of a natural wood color. And go somewhere in there. And just sort of get that filled in. Okay. So have it nice and labeled there. I'm in the color group, which came in from Maya. I typically work more towards Maya and looking at things under the lights, but what I'm going to go for here is setting up things for that looking at things under the lights in Unity. Okay, good. And so now let's just get some text out there and zip through some stuff here. Need something sort of appropriate. What's on? Yeah, not much is on this machine. There we go. And goose that. And okay. Yeah, it's looking pretty good, a little too big. And take that down. Okay, that's about right. And sort of make that a blue. Or actually, let's make it a yellow. Okay. It doesn't quite go with the green. All right, maybe I'll switch the green. All right, so I'm happy with that. And just to give it that sort of older look, we'll just give it a little bit of, there we go. Now I need to make it smaller. And okay, good. Quickly pop to my paint layer to give it a nice dark blue. That goes well with the yellow, so you still want to think as an artist. All right. So I got my color information here. I'm going to duplicate those guys, and I'm just going to put them down here in the spec. Okay, I'm going to turn off the group so I can see that spec layer. And all right, so what I will do in the here in the spec layer is I'm going to go to the paint in the spec, and I'll just go to adjustments and desaturate it. Okay. And I'm going to flip it over. So I think that should give me a brighter area on the blue paint, which is sort of what I want. Okay, and still a little too bright. Now I can sketch a bit more just because I do this fairly frequently, and so I have sort of a sense of where I'm going with things. but the whole point of doing this exercise is that you want to be seeing things under the light, and so I think that's going to be an okay specular highlight, but in amount of contrast and that sort of stuff when we get into Unity. But you really make your judgments in Unity. Okay, so there's my file, and so I have this nice master file that I come back to and I do my work here. As you see, I can copy and paste things between the layers very easily. I'm just going to grab these two layers and do a duplicate layers, okay, and just say new. All right, and okay, so that gives me a new, and all right, I just did a Command E to flatten it so it's all merged down. I'm going to save this, so file and save as. I'm going to use a target file type, and let's see, this is going to be tavern sign diff for diffuse, and then I'm going to have the spec in there, spec. Okay, so I label it that way. Great, and it'll be 32 bits later on. All right, and great. So now that's saved out and good to go. Close that and just double check that that's saved. Tavern sign, okay, so it's there. All right, so I can toss that guy out and don't worry about him. Right, so then I'll just do the same here for my tavern sign specularity. Duplicate the layers, make it into a new. Okay, I collapse them, and this time I change it to a grayscale. Discard the color information. Yep. Okay, so now I got a 8-bit grayscale image of my spec information. So I will do a Command A to do a select all, copy. I will go open that file that I just made. Okay, and I'll pop over to the channels and into the alpha. If you didn't make an alpha, you can just do a new channel and it'll make an alpha for you. And I paste that in, and I'm good. I save it, and so I pop over to Unity. Okay, so in Unity I have my light in there. I find where the heck I tossed that into my project here. Okay, so tavern sign, and I toss that out into the scene. He says, oh, that's the material. Data cancer physics. So here's my piece of geometry. A little bit on the large size, but I'm not going to worry that right now. It has its material connected up to it, and I need to make sure this file, so I'm going to close it here in Photoshop, and don't save. Okay, so the master PSD is still up. That's good. So I need to go find that file on my hard drive. Okay, so I've dug out the tavern sign diff and spec, put it in the right folder. I now toss it here, and good. And I can see I screwed up one little thing, but that's okay. Anyhow, so I go to the diffuse and change it to specular. All right, so as you see, it's labeled RGB, so that's the color information, and then gloss A. So in the alpha channel, I have the shininess information. So if I look at my sign, okay, under the lights here, as you see, it's shiniest, all right, where I have the gold text, and I get a little bit of shine up here on the top, and not, you know, so it gradates. Okay, so this is the shiniest, this is less shiny, and so I can go back to Photoshop, and in Photoshop, all right, bring up my master file, and open recent, and get this puppy up. Okay, so I can select my wood file here, and I go to my my tavern master, right? Let's see, and I just toss in a new layer. Okay, and so I can say, all right, hey, call it wood. That should be this section of things. And am I happy with that pattern? I think I'm happy with that pattern. All right, so good. And so select invert, delete. Okay, so I'm happy with that wood pattern there. It's a little intense, so I can take that down a bunch. All right, and yeah, that's pretty good. Sort of using the fill to do that. And okay, so once I'm happy with that, I then duplicate the layer. Okay, and move it down here. And alright, so then I have to think about where are my specular properties of this wood. So I will take it, and let's see, I am going to make the dark areas shinier. So I will start by doing invert, and oops. Alright, do it the old school way. Adjustments, invert. Okay, I will desaturate that because I don't need the color information. And adjustments, desaturate, good. And let's see, I will take up the intensity. Alright, that's I'm pretty happy with that. Good. And then I will duplicate that again, put that over the, well, should I put that over? And this is where you can start experimenting with stuff. You know, and try maybe an overlay. Okay, so do I like that? Yeah, okay, I'm sort of liking that overlay. And it's pretty simple. Trying to do this as quickly as possible to get some, you know, just the fundamental ideas and workflows out there, not so much trying to do the best texture I've ever done in my career. All right, and so now I find my tavern sign diff and spec, okay, and pretty straightforward. I just, you know, grab these guys and I duplicate them over, duplicate. Alright, so now those guys are over here, and I flatten them down. I go to back to my master. I grab the guys in my specular group here. So yeah, just keeping it all organized, it all sort of makes sense. And so this is the tricky one, and I still need to take this into a temporary file and convert it to 8 bits for the best results. So duplicate layer, new, open, okay, flatten, so that's just a Command D, then mode, grayscale it, discard, select all, copy, pop over to my my texture file here, go to my channels, select it, V, okay, I hit save. Alright, so now once that's saved, I open up Unity, and here in Unity, I wait for a moment for it to update, and there we go. And so now I look at it under the light and say, hey, do I like that? So I get that little bit of shine on the harder parts of the wood there, and it layers through and affects the shininess of the affects the shininess of the gold paint, because the gold paint's going to go into the wood at a different rate, and have a different absorption in. So that's how you sort of want to think about things. And that should be enough to illustrate the point.